Hey guys, and welcome back to the World War II Solitaire board game channel. First off, if my voice sounds weird, well, it is. I am having a, a bout of corona, so my voice is a little bit raspier than it usually is. Anyway, we're gonna do a fresh off the printer episode, and this is the first fresh off the printer episode I've done for quite a while. And ironically, the very first episode I covered a game which was called Panzer Dice. So this is the sequel to Panzer Dice, Panzer Dice 2 Last Battle. And this is a print and play game done by Miguel Duran. And you might be like me, you might be a little bit scared of print and play because I'm just not good with cutting stuff out and gluing whatever you need to do to put those games together. But with this game, all you have to do is print these. I think it's like 8 or 9 pages, and then you're set to go. So anyway, Panzer Dice, you're gonna be commanding a tank in the streets of Berlin. But in the first game, we command a German tank, I believe, outside of Moscow or somewhere in Russia, and this time we're actually going to be commanding a T-34 tank, a Russian tank instead. So let's go ahead and take a look at this game. We have a few pages of rules here, and yeah, the rules aren't 100% correct in English. I guess it's been translated with Google Translate perhaps, and then edited some. So there are a few mistakes, but there's nothing that you can't, understand about the rules, how you should do stuff. So it's pretty good. And then we have some examples here on the boards itself. There's gonna be two pages of boards, so that's the first one and the second one, or game sheets as they're called. And then we have some more rules, and some more rules, and finally some more rules. So if we look at all those pages of rules, there's a total of 4 pages of rules only. So this is a very light, simple game, very quick playing game. So it's not gonna be something deep, guys. It's just gonna be something, that's cool to have when you have a lunch break, or when you're, perhaps flying, sitting on a bus, whatever. Something very cool here, special thanks. I actually got a mention here, what do I say, to Daniel Niemi for featuring interesting games on his YouTube channel, World War II Solitaire board game channel. That's pretty cool. And anyway, here we have the boards that we're gonna use. So once you have learned those rules, all you need to bring is these 2 papers. So that's another cool part with it, that you don't need to bring a lot of stuff. The rules, again, once you've learned the rules, there's no need to really refer to them, because it's everything you need is here on the 2 game sheets, as they're called themselves. So that, I think that's a pretty good deal. We're gonna go ahead and play a few rounds so you get an idea of how it works. And what you're gonna need is some dice. You're gonna need 8 6-sided dice. So preferably there should be 6 of one color. I'm using white, and then 2 dice of a different color, so I'm using black. And these are gonna be used to shoot at you, and these are gonna be used mainly in your favor. And yeah, then they're gonna occupy enemy positions. I'm gonna go ahead and switch also. I like to have them this side, but there's no, you can decide whatever way you want to use them. Besides the dice, you're gonna need, you can choose, either you can have just a pencil with preferably an eraser, because you need to, here you need to mark down the items you find and the progress you make. So the goal of the game is to get all the way over here. But I prefer to use cubes, so I have a bunch of cubes instead, and that way I don't have to do all the writing and the erasing. So I think that's very convenient. But say I was sitting somewhere and I didn't want to bring a bunch of cubes, I could also use a pencil, and that would work great. Okay, so let's go ahead and play a few rounds of this game. So setup is really easy. All you do is you put 1 cube on your hull, and then 1 cube on your soldiers. So you should have the maximum amount of points for those. So again, our goal of the game is to reach the end of this road here, and it's protected by a lot of enemy units. we have to reach it and still have soldiers alive. So if we ever go down to zero soldiers, the game has been lost. However, our tank can go all the way to 0 hull points and we will still be able to continue. However, the tank is not going to be able to fire and help us take out enemy tanks. Okay, and the last part of the setup is just rolling a d6, and we roll the 5, and that's where our starting point is going to be. And we can see the d6 numbers down here, so that means we start over here, and that's a really good position actually. So on the map here we can see there's different hexes or cells, whatever you want to call them. And there's blank ones, that's just normal ones. There's ones with artillery pieces, and that means we get to roll. On this table here, we can find Panzerfaust, smoke grenades, mortars, and flamethrowers. And moving on, we have a Tiger tank, and that means, so you're gonna get it later, but we're gonna roll these to see if it corresponds to any of these boxes. And if there's an enemy there, they're gonna get to fire at us. And if we're in that Tiger tank box, we will roll 2 of these instead of the normal 1. And then there's the red ones, and they're just, you know, blocked boxes, meaning we have to maneuver on the side of them. We can't go through them. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, and the first thing you do is you take your 6d6 and roll them. And we'll look at the numbers here. So basically, let's start from the lowest number. Whoops, that was a 5. There's the 5. Okay, so that's actually a very good roll, but the 3 anyway, if we would have rolled 1, we could have chosen any of these 3 other orders. But if you roll a 2 or a 3, it has to be placed out because it's an enemy. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose the tank. And then if you roll a 4, if you have 2 4s, you can repair the tank hull by 1. And if you roll a 4, let's say this is a 4, only 1, I can decide to save that there until the next turn and hope I roll a 4 that time. And then we have the fire, and that's quite obvious. It fires 1 shot. So if I fire 1 shot at this guy, well, it goes down to 2. And then we have the recruits, and that means we get 1 more soldier. So, you know, we don't want to run out of soldiers because then we'll lose the game. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the 5s for fire. And then the 6, there's no need to recruit because I'm already at max, but I could potentially recruit if I had a fewer soldiers. Now, one thing to note here before we go on is that I can reroll all of my order dice that result in an order 1 time every turn. However, that could potentially become an enemy, so it's a very risky thing to do, but sometimes you will feel like you need to do that. Okay, so I fire and I have 3 dice. So the first die, bring him down to 2 hit points, and then we can see here +2 for each additional die. So if I use 3 dice for firing, I actually have 5 hit points worth of damage that I can do. And that means this guy, you know, he had 3 hit points, I do 5 damage, so he's gone, he's out of the game. So I've destroyed my first enemy Panzer. So then I take a little cube, and you could also use a pencil of course, and I put on the number 1 here on the destroyed Panzer column. Once it reaches 7, I will fully heal my tank. If it's at 1, it's gonna go up to max. If it's at any number besides 6, it will go up to 6. And then we have the recruits. However, we have no soldiers to recruit, and same thing here. 1 die give you 1 soldier, and 2 dice will give you 3 because there's +2 for each additional die used. And that is the end of the action phase. What's going to happen now is I get to move. You only get to move forward or to the sides, by the way. You can move forward, backward, to the sides. You cannot move diagonally. And you can only move if there's no enemy presence. And if there are enemy presence, you can go ahead and move by sacrificing either 2 soldiers or 1 hull point. So sometimes you're gonna have to do that if you're getting close to the end, especially. It's quite worth doing if you have a lot of soldiers or a lot of hull points. Okay, so we have reached a new area, so we go ahead and do it all over again. We roll the 6d6, and again we have a really good roll. The 4s are repair, we don't need to do it, but you know. And the 6s are recruit. And then the 2 is going to be an enemy, we choose the tank again, and the 1 is a radio order. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the radio order and put that on fire. However, the fire is not going to be enough to take out this tank, so I will go ahead and reroll one of the repairs. And repair is a 2, so that's unfortunate because then we have another enemy soldier. I put it in this box. And I think I'll reroll one more repair, and it's a repair. And you can only reroll each die once. So I guess I might actually reroll one of these soldiers. And it's another 2, so this is quite unfortunate, but sometimes it happens. Okay, so we're gonna stay. I'm not gonna... Okay, let's reroll one more, because now we're getting so... And it's a 3, so again, we're in bad luck. And the reason why I decided to reroll is because when you get too many soldiers, the really only way of clearing them is waiting for artillery. And artillery will happen when you have all of these boxes filled. So there's 5 boxes, 6 dice, and then you get a 6th enemy soldier or tank. Then you have artillery, and the first time that happens, it's a pack 43, and all of them go away, and you take 1 hull damage and 1 soldier damage. And the second time it happens, it's Katyusha rockets, so it's your guys, and all of the enemies go away, and you take no damage. So I'm actually going to go ahead and reroll also the fire die, because there's no... And it's a 6, because there's really no need to try to take them out when they become so many of them. And the 2s are still kind of okay. The 3s are, you know, bad because they have 3 hit points. So basically 50% more hit points than other guys. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is do nothing. There's no repair. I can't recruit. And then now we get to roll these threat dice, as it's called. And if it corresponds to any of these numbers, that's the damage I will take. So I roll a 4. And a 4, it's a tank, so I lose 1 hull, and then it's also this soldier, so I lose 1 soldier. And then it's the next turn, and this time I only have 2 dice to roll, because the other ones are locked with these enemies. So my only chance of getting out of this now really is hoping to roll a 2 and a 3, or you know, 2 3s, whatever. And I don't roll that, I roll a 1 and a 4, so I'm going to go ahead and re-roll. And this time I roll a 1 and a 4 again, so that's it, I'm done for. I do like that, the radio order, I change that to a 4. And then I have 1 repair, so I repair my tank hull. And then it's time again to roll for the threat die. And again I score a 4, so you remember it's 1 of each, since we have that and that. And it's a new turn again. And I roll a 1 and a 5. So I go ahead and re-roll those. And I roll a 1 and a 5 again. That's actually pretty funny. Okay, so I changed the 1 to a 6. And I fire 1 at the tank with the 5. And the 6, I recruit 1 soldier. And then we go again and again. When you want those 2s and 3s, they won't always come. But when you don't want them, be sure they will come. And now we roll a 1 and a 3, so the 3 goes here. And 1 I will re-roll. And it's a 2, so that's good. Because that means the 2 can't be placed out anywhere. So we have a pack 43 attack. And I lose 1 hull point and 1 soldier. And next time it happens, it's going to be a Katyusha attack instead of a pack 43 attack. So this time I get to move. I move forward. And now, as you see, I enter a block or a cell with that artillery icon. And that means I get to roll here on the items table. So I roll a d6 and I roll a 2. So that means... okay, we'll look up here actually. So with a 2, I can choose to get 2 soldiers or 2 Panzerfaust and 1 smoke grenade. And the Panzerfaust lets me shoot in the action phase. Each Panzerfaust does 1 damage. And you know, I don't have to roll any dice for that. So that's really handy to get out of a bad situation. The flamethrower is the same, but each flamethrower gives me 2 shots. And the smoke grenade cancels a shot from a threat die that can hit you during the threat shooting phase. So basically I can say, okay, I used the smoke grenade on this one, and then during the, when I roll this, it's not going to be able to hit me. And the mortar removes all threat dice that may be rolled in the first phase. So that means if I roll 66 now, I use the mortar, then this 3 would not be put out because I used the mortar. So that's how they work. Okay, so for my items, I'm gonna choose 1 smoke grenade and 2 Panzerfausts. And now I go again. We roll our d6s. And wow, that is probably the unluckiest roll I've seen so far. This is a tough game, and I mean, it is a very light game, so it is what it is. There's not much you can do about the situation when you roll like that, and I guess that would be my only complaint with the game. I played it, a few times so far, but it is that you can't really, if you if you roll unlucky, well, you're gonna be having a bad time. There's not much you can do about it because the 2s and the 3s will come. But again, now I can try to re-roll this 4 and hope for a 2 or a 3, and look at that. So as unlucky I was, then I got lucky because I rolled 3 again, so it's full, and this time it's Katyusha attack, so all of them dies and I don't take any damage, and again we get to move forward. And remember, that's the only thing you really want to do. You don't want to take out a bunch of Germans. All you want to do is move forward. And again we get to this point where we can have some nice supplies, and I roll a 2 again, and I'm gonna choose the same thing: 2 Panzerfausts and 1 smoke grenade. And then we roll again, and well, more enemies. I choose the tank and the soldier there, and however this time we're gonna get to destroy all of them. So I go ahead, I need to do 4 points of damage, so I change this into a 5. It's the radio order. So since I have 3 dice, remember, it's 1 shot for 1 and 2+ for each additional die used. So this is 5 hits. So that means these 4 hit points are destroyed. And remember, increase this for every panzer that you destroy, because once you're up at 7, your tank will fully heal. And then we have recruit, so that's great. We recruit 1 soldier, and again we move forward. So now we reach one of these tank zones, and if we have enemies now, they're gonna get to roll 2. Okay, so we have some enemies. We do the tank again and these soldiers, and we have a repair. That's great. And then we have recruit and choose your orders, and I'm gonna change that into fire. Okay, so first we repair. Remember, you need 2 dice to repair. And then we have fire. I fire at the tank. And then we have recruit. So we recruit 1 soldier. And now they get to fire. And remember, we're standing in one of these blocks or cells with a tank. That means we have to roll 2 of these instead of 1. So we could potentially take a lot of hits. We roll a 4 and a 5. And 4 is the same as this, so we take 1 tank hit. If we would have had this situation now, for example, and we would have rolled 2 4, that would mean we would take 2 tank hits and 2 soldier hits. So you got to be a little bit careful about where you put your soldiers out. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna stop right here. You've seen a big part of the game. If you're more interested in this game, I'm gonna go ahead and play an entire session very soon, so stay tuned to the channel. Also, one note, there's actually now a Panzer Dice 3, which is improved upon. I have it already, and I gotta say it builds a lot on this current version, but it's a bit more complex, so stay tuned for that as well. Panzer Dice 2 is a game that you can buy from Boardgame Vault for only $1.50, so that's $1.50 you can get this game. And again, it's not a deep game, it's just something that if you have 30 minutes, if you have 15 minutes, you can put it on the table and just roll some dice and, you know, have fun. It's a little bit frustrating with these when they fill up and you feel like there's not really anything you can do. But again, it's a very light game, it's an easy game, it's a quick game, and you know, for what it is, I think it's very enjoyable. Again, guys, I want to thank you for watching the channel. If you're not already subscribed, I would be very happy if you would subscribe. You know, don't forget to like and comment on the video. It really helps me out a lot. Other than that, nothing more to say. I will see you next time.